Our faith communities, our religious communities, are one of the most intergenerational groups that exist ideally. And within our faith communities, although we're not always doing it well, there are up to 5 different generations that are involved within the life of our religious organizations. Up to 5 different generations that are involved at some level, some within, or now, particularly within U.S. institutions, we weren't set up for this. What we were used to was maybe 2.5, 3 generations, where pretty much when you retired, you died. And you moved into but it's not like that anymore. And we're also facing at the same moment that we have this wider intergenerational spread than we've had before, something else that's shifting, particularly within U.S. culture, where there was a significant question around privilege based on age and status that happened during the 60s and 70s that was appropriate and right. Status, however, we also did not yet know how to do role. And so one of the roles that's being lost within this intergenerational piece, which is important for us to think about and understand more deeply, is the role of an elder and redeveloping that role of an elder. I want to read a text from some of the scriptures that some of us share. This is something that if your congregation, church follows the lectionary, you might remember from a few weeks ago. This is from 1 Samuel chapter 3, verses 1 through 20. And I'm going to skip around a little bit within these verses. The Lamb of God had not yet gone out, and Samuel was lying in the temple of the Lord where the ark was. Then the Lord called, Samuel, Samuel, and he said, Here I am, and ran to Eli and said, Here I am, for you called me. But he said, I did not call. Lie down again. So he went down and lay down again. Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, and the word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. The Lord called Samuel again the 3rd time. Then Eli perceived, but the Lord was calling the boy. Therefore Eli said to Samuel, Go lie down, and if he calls you, you shall say, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. So Samuel went down and lay down in his place. Now the Lord came and stood there, calling as before, Samuel, Samuel. And Samuel said, Speak, for your servant is listening. Then the Lord said to Samuel, See, I'm about to do something in Israel that will make both ears of anyone who hears it tingle. On that day I will fulfill against Eli all that I have spoken concerning his house from beginning to end. For I have told him that I'm about to punish his house forever for the iniquity that he knew, because his sons were blaspheming God, and he did not restrain them. Therefore I swear to the house of Eli that the iniquity of Eli's house shall not be expiated by sacrifice or offering forever. Samuel lay there till the morning. Then he opened the doors of the house of the Lord. Samuel was afraid to tell the vision to Eli. But Eli called Samuel and said, Samuel, my son, here I am. Eli said, What was it he told you? Do not hide it from me. May God do so to you, and more also if you hide anything from me of all that he told you. So Samuel told him everything and hid nothing from him. Then he said, It is the Lord. Let him do what seems good to him. Usually we focus on Samuel in the story. It's much more comfortable to be Samuel. I'm starting to reflect on the role of elders in religious communities and in the social justice community in particular. And we have to ask the question, are we doing this right? In this text, Eli fulfilled his role in encouraging Samuel to listen to this voice calling out as the voice of God. That is part of the role of an elder. Say that when you hear something, encouraging those who are younger than us to listen closely, because they might be hearing something very, very important. It's also important as old elders then to receive that voice and receive that word. But ultimately, for those of you who might know the story a little bit further, Eli ignored Samuel. Eli encouraged this voice and encouraged this listening and encouraged to hear that word that Samuel was hearing. And then pretty much set it aside. All too often, some of our admonitions to teach people about how things really work says more frequently about our lack of vigilance and persistence than their lack of wisdom that they might be bringing to us. Sometimes our failure to follow where younger voices lead is not the fault of the young as much as the fault of dark cynicism and fear disguised as truth.